Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne Purcell, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of.
Welcome to another episode of Rising 360. Gina, so glad to see you. We are talking about, and there goes my screen. We're talking about power today, or actually we're going to redefine power, because I for sure found myself in a position where I didn't see being powerful as something positive. And I want to see how that was with you. But before we get started, can you share the quote for today?
Sure. So the quote for today is, creativity means you have greatness. To be creative, you have greatness. So I think it'll be fun to chat today about embracing that greatness, that power, and embodying it when we walk into the studio.
And why we think we can't and why we are not at certain points, right?
Right. Our misconceptions about being powerful and sort of confronting some of those today.
Awesome. Do you want to start? What was your perception of even the word being, having greatness in you, or the phrase of being powerful? What was your perception maybe earlier on when you were a dancer?
Sure.
Compared to now?
Right. So I guess I felt like it was my job to be quiet, and to listen, and to be meek, and to wait to be told what to do. And that if I had a personal opinion that didn't belong in the conversation because I was the student. So I guess I never felt powerful. I felt the opposite of that, quiet and not weak, but certainly not like I carried myself with a sense of strength. How about you? Did you have a similar perception, or what was your perception of power, being powerful?
You just talking brought me right back into ballet school, because being quiet, doing what was told, was always sentences that I heard as well. It was all about following and not leading your own life and who you are and becoming your own version of a dancer, a human being, of Gina, of Susanne. And I think when I grew up, I saw being powerful as something very negative, as something that was actually bad, that could hurt other people. I only saw people being powerful that told other people how to do things. And it was never like a partnership, or people in powerful positions never showed me a sense of partnership or caring. So I had this perception for the longest time, and I'm talking well into my 40s here, that being powerful means being evil, point blank. And with that, I could never, ever step into my own most powerful version that I'm capable of being in right now, because I was rejecting it so much. Not even I would say I wasn't even aware of it as a student and as a dancer, because we never looked at it that deep, right? Like the level of awareness was very basic. And that's why I think I never even explored what that could look like. I would never even ask the question, what me powerful? No, thank you. I'll pass on that one. Yeah.
Right. Some of the limitations we have were planted there long, long ago, so long ago that we don't know that they're there. And we're operating under these notions and we don't even realize that they're holding us back. And I think that this topic could be, no pun intended, could be very powerful for dancers to release themselves from the limitations they're putting on their own ability to show up as they are in the studio and in the world.
And when we're talking about limitation, it's so serendipitously put into this conversation because I saw so many people when I have conversation, people are fighting for their limitations. They're fighting for their right to be right. And even if that means not really stepping into their full potential, into their greatness, they'd rather be right than the best. Mm. And that to me is like, wow. When we're talking about limiting beliefs, where's the book? The Big Leap. And I'm saying it again and again and again and again. It is something that dancers should have on their nightstand and read every single day, because every time you go through it, I've read it for the third time now, I still find new things that expand my level of awareness, that I can understand, when this thought comes in, this is actually something that I learned when I was 10 years old, and these stories are the only reason why we're staying where we're at. That's why we're not going to audition at 30, because we believe that at 30, no company is going to take you. Mm. Right? Like that's out there. Why? Like, who says that? What kind of a story, what kind of a limiting belief are you actually operating under that you believe that at 30 your career is over? And then it's these kind of thinkings, like when your teacher tells you that, your foot isn't arched enough, so you can't be a principal dancer. And we take that on. And then we wonder that we get all of these opportunities thrown at us, and yet we're not stepping forward because we have that innate belief in ourselves, that limitation, the fear of stepping into the power because somebody way back when put that in you. And that's why awareness is so imperative. This is why self-development and knowing baseline psychology, particularly for high performers. And yes, dancers, you are high performers. You are the highest of the performers next to athletes in the performing arts world. And you have to, and my son is going to slap my fingers because I'm saying you have to, but it is imperative that if you want to really truly overcome any kind of physical conditions that may not be favorable for you to be a dancer, your mind can do so much more.
Preach.
Right?
You're speaking words of healing, like even to me now, it's very healing to hear those words. I think we rely on the stories that we've been told about ourselves, and that can really eat away at our ability to embrace our greatness and show up as powerful individuals. I had a teacher tell me, I switched schools from a competition studio to a ballet school. And I had, had confidence in myself at this other studio. At the ballet school, the teacher took my mom off to the side and said, she's not going to be a ballet dancer. She has too many limitations. And my mom didn't tell me this until like a couple of months later when we went with another studio. But I had those words in my mind, and it was a real struggle to get over them. Yeah. So I think we are very limited by the labels that people put on us. You're not a jumper, or you're not,
Yeah.
you know, I think that really sinks down and starts to become part of our psyche and who we think we are. But it's not, necessarily truth.
So let me ask you this question. When did you realize that these stories actually held you back from becoming more? I mean, you and I had these beautiful conversations on your porch overlooking the water, which I'm very missing, on how we were conditioned and how we now uncondition ourselves. When did that start? Like, when did you start the process, and what initiated the process?
Unfortunately, probably not until I was in my late 30s or mid 30s did I start to kind of do the type of self-help work to realize my limiting beliefs. I wished that, I'd listened to a conversation like we're having when I was 16 to help pull me out much sooner. But as a 30-something-year-old, I started really embracing my strengths and what I brought to whatever situation. So it wasn't only, it was not as a student, it was as an adult that I gained this realization. And by the way, you're welcome back to come sit on my porch anytime you want to take a trip to Charleston. I love chatting with you. I would love to talk about how we can help dancers sort of break out of this shell of the self-limiting beliefs about being powerful. How can we help dancers with that?
I think the first step that I see is everyone actually for themselves to find their own current definition of what powerful means to them. Like, what does it really mean to you? Have you ever thought about that? And if it's something that's not positive, that doesn't enlighten you or empowers you to understand that you are the most magnificent human being walking this earth, then what's going on? Like, what kind of beliefs are there that are holding you back? I think that for me would be the very first step. I didn't know that I had not a really great relationship with the word or the meaning of powerful until I had a podcast interview with somebody. And it literally came out and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know. And that was the moment for me where I could actually, so wait a second, like if I believe that powerful isn't great, then why am I talking about being powerful? Because I don't really believe in it yet. I believe into a version of it, but the layers have not yet been uncovered. And being open to all of these signs, like understanding that, yes, in the studio, there are certain rules that we as dancers comply to, that, we're respecting each other. But that does not mean that you are not you, that you can't say a word, that you cannot have your own opinion, that you cannot feel all the feels that are there, that you cannot, stand up for yourself.
Right. And that brings up such an important thing of, if we're not showing up powerful, if we're not embracing our power, we're not going to be our own advocates in the studio. If something is making us uncomfortable, or if we feel an injury that we are concerned to bring up because we'll be perceived as being lazy or whatever, if we don't carry the strength and the power to speak up for ourselves, then we're in trouble. Yeah.
And I'm going to take it one step further. And I'm going to use an example from the U.S. Olympic gymnastic team. I'm pretty sure most people have heard about all the abuse that has been going on there for years and years and years and years. And I listened to a podcast of one of the plaintiffs, one of the first ones that were abused by Larry since the age of 8. And it went on all the way to the age of 25 because she didn't know that it was wrong, because she was a product of the team, brainwashed, not knowing what's right and wrong, not knowing where her power lays. And I understand it's the extreme, but when we're looking at the ballet world and all the abuse that has been prevalent so far and keeps being uncovered over and over and over again, if dancers would be standing in their powerful self and knowing and having the language to say, no, this is wrong, I don't like that, and standing up for themselves, I don't think we would see all of this. We wouldn't see underpaid people dancing for nothing or paying companies to be paid to be dancing. You know, we wouldn't see so many girls coming out of the studio crying because the director told them to lose another 5 pounds when they're already 95. All of these things would not be so prevalent anymore if dancers themselves would be understanding that they are actually the most powerful thing in a ballet company. Because without you, there is no ballet. There is no product. There is no company. There's no money coming in.
Absolutely. And I think we operate under this idea that we are a dime a dozen. If we don't comply, then we're so easily replaceable. But the truth of the matter is, once you're in a company, you're part of that company, they rely on you to put the performances together. And I'm not saying that dancers should act in an arrogant way or an overconfident way. Of course, that's not what we're saying here. But what we are saying is to stand up tall and to carry a sense of worth and a sense of what you represent and how you want to show up in the studio with no apologies, with respect, but with no apologies.
And there isn't even a fine line, right? I mean, when we're taking it even further, my perception of powerful people was they're arrogant. They are just loud. They want to be seen. They're, have some shortfalls over here. That's not the truth. They just know who they are and they're proud of it.
And how about the negative connotation of females who are powerful? Females who are powerful are associated with a certain word that starts with the letter B, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're backstabbing. They're going to scratch, they're going to put their nails in your back. One of the reasons why I never had any kind of female relationship was because I thought females altogether, powerful or not, are evil. Mm-hmm. Other topic. But what I'm saying is, if I had actually known my own truth and my power and my greatness, all of that would never have mattered. I wouldn't have looked for, validation from the outside. I wouldn't have judged other people. I wouldn't have been in abusive relationships. Had I really looked at myself as I am a blank canvas and I can create whatever I want to. Yeah.
It's ironic, isn't it, that when we embrace our power, our greatness, it eliminates fear, and then it almost allows us to bring out the greatness and the power in other dancers.
Yes.
When you're freed up to feel powerful and to carry yourself as you should, it frees other people up to do the same thing. I think that's one way that we can lift each other up as dancers. Give each other permission to also show up in our most powerful sense.
So yeah, we're going to leave it right there because that is a beautiful way to wrap up this conversation. It's not a selfish, how can I say that fast? It is not something, you're not doing something bad in the world by showing up as you, as your powerful self. You are actually giving other people the permission to do the same. Like, be the light, be that shining star that, attracts all of the others so we can all shine brighter together. I think that's where the shift of perspective, even if you're 16, is so important. Stop caring what everybody else thinks. You will find the right people.
Beautiful. Great encouragement.
All right, dancers, thank you so much for listening. We are sending you so much love. Please share your biggest takeaway. We would love to see what resonates with you and also what don't. Like, what don't you agree with? When we're talking about power, right? Knowing what you want and what you don't want is super important. And if this is a platform we can help you and encourage you to exercise that muscle, we're all for it. So share your takeaways on Instagram, rate us, review us. We are so grateful for you. Thank you for listening. Till next time.
Till next time, and we'll pick up our conversation on Rising 360.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.